Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Samim Supreme. This video took me close to 4 days to compile together, so I really hope you guys appreciate this one. Today, we're gonna compare the current Warzone meta, the legendary Grau, versus the new kid on the block, fully revamped as of patch 121, the Holger 26. As you see, the Holger 26 is practically a whole nother weapon that not many people are talking about yet. This video will be optimized for the best performance in Warzone Battle Royale. Since nobody gets a loadout with no attachments on their weapon, we're gonna compare two of the best setups optimized for longer distance while maintaining adequate recoil control and aim down sight speed. This is the Grau setup that has gotten me most of my wins. We have the monolithic suppressor, which is an absolute must on any primary weapon in Warzone. It hides your position when you shoot and adds about 5 to 10% extra range so your bullets can preserve the damage they were meant to do over longer distances. Command of foregrip to help with recoil stabilization without having to sacrifice aim down sight speed. F-Tac R89 rubber rear grip for recoil control, which you could trade for the XRK Void 2 to increase your aim down sight speed. I also got the Archangel barrel for the damage range, recoil control and bullet velocity. I find this barrel to be more beneficial in Warzone than the Nexus, primarily due to its insane 35% boost in damage range. I will explain why that's a game changer for Grau later in this video when we talk about range. At last, we have the 60 round mag for the convenience in trios and quads when you gotta spray the enemy from afar. Now, this is the new best Holger setup that feels very natural to use in Warzone. First three attachments are absolutely identical. We got the monolithic suppressor, command of foregrip and the rubberized grip tape, which has the exact same pros and cons as the F-Tac rear grip on the Grau. Instead of a custom barrel, both of which actually make your gun worse for Warzone, XRK Access stock gives you a faster aim down sight speed at the cost of aim instability. Technically, you could swap out the XRK stock for the TAC laser attachment, which does give you slightly more benefit if you don't mind the visible green light alerting your opponents of your whereabouts. And finally, the piece that turns this LMG into an effective AR is the 30 round mag. It gives you aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, reload quickness, as well as much higher mobility and slightly more recoil control. I have tried using the 100 ammo mag, and while it felt great not having to reload as I was lasering my enemies, it was an absolute nightmare to move around because of how heavy the weapon was. Now that we've built the two setups, let's compare the stats side by side. The top of every attribute is the Holger 26 and right below it we have the Grau. At first glance, it looks like every attribute is slightly higher on the Holger except for the accuracy, which only matters if you're gonna use either weapon for hip firing. However, let's take a closer look. The rate of fire is very similar. The Grau is sitting at 730 rounds per minute whereas the Holger is at 750. What I did find interesting though, the Holger seems to have slightly more damage when we compare in-game attributes side by side, but after doing some testing, I realized it makes no difference at all as you still need 6 bullets in the head or 9 bullets through chest, stomach or limb to kill a fully plated enemy at close range. And finally, total time to kill is slightly lower on the Holger by a negligible amount of 0.011 seconds. So far there aren't any major differences that would put one weapon over the other. Let's take a look at the aim down sight speeds with these two builds. The first test is done at a quarter of real speed, which means we're seeing 15 frames a second. As you notice, Holger's aim down sight speed is slightly faster in this comparison. Of course you can build the Grau for faster aim down sight speed by swapping out the rear grip, but then you would be sacrificing recoil control, which is already lower compared to Holger 26. Remember, these are optimized for distance in Warzone and recoil control is very important to keep that laser steady when you're punishing your opponent with a barrage of bullets across the map. Hey guys, just wanted to take a quick second and thank you for watching this video. If you are enjoying this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to see more quality Warzone content. It takes less than a second and honestly guys, for a small YouTuber like myself, this helps out a lot. Alright, back to the competition. Let's take a look at the reload speeds. Side note, you do have two different reload animations depending on how empty your clip is. If you run out of the entire clip, the animation is longer. So the new Holger received a reload quickness bonus as part of the 30 round clip attachment. As you may know, reload quickness bonus is about 15% decrease in reload time, which means that when you have an empty clip, the 4.14 second reload time on Holger is now 3.52 seconds. which is still longer by 0.81 seconds compared to the Grau sitting at 2.71 seconds per reload. The same is true for when we compare the reload time for half-empty clips. The Grau is sitting at 1.32 seconds, whereas the Holger takes just under a second longer and completes the task at 2.14 seconds. The Grau definitely won this round. Now let's take a look at the recoil. The Grau is relatively stable side to side, and it starts off going slightly to the left for the first 12 bullets and then slightly to the right after that. Whereas the Holger goes up and then takes a sharper turn to the right while maintaining a very steady side to side control. What's interesting actually, if you've seen my Grau vs M4 video, the recoil pattern on the Holger has a very high resemblance to that of the M4. All in all, both weapons have a very easily controlled recoil. And now, best for last. Grau is notorious for being more efficient over longer distances as it preserves more of its original damage. Here's a chart for base damage range, and as you can see, for 6 to 9 shots to kill, that is of course 6 in the head and 9 for the chest, stomach or limb, Holger has a 45 meter effective damage range versus Grau's 35. Now keep in mind, these stats right here are for both of these weapons with no attachments at all. At mid-range, or 8 to 11 shots to kill, Holger is still beating the Grau by 2.5 meters with a 65 meter range versus Grau's 62.5 meters. Notice how mid-range gap is so gigantic with the Grau. If you recall earlier, I did mention the Archangel and the monolithic suppressor at about 40% extra range. Now this is where the magical math happens. When we factor in all attachments for both of these weapons, Grau pulled from 35 to 47.5 meters in close range versus Holger's 49.5 meters. But now, get this, Grau's mid-range skyrocketed from 62.5 meter cap to an insane 86 meters, leaving the Holger eating the dust at 71.5 meter mid-range cap. This is a big deal in Warzone. This means that the Grau is a much better option with all of the attachments for longer range battles. In conclusion, while the new Holger 26 does have a slightly higher DPS, longer effective close range, and higher mobility, the Grau is still the range king with faster reload speed, more bullets in the chamber, and a much cleaner iron sight. But hey, this is just my opinion. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what gun you feel and how you choose to use it. There is no such thing as a universal weapon that's good for all your needs. At times, you don't even need a gun at all to make plays in Warzone. Check out my top 5 plays, most of which did not even require me using a weapon. And please let me know in the comments below, what is your gun of preference in Warzone and why do you like it? Catch you guys in the next video. Later.
Hey Randall, you're gonna die before me. Goodbye.
Oh my god.